no, 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 no. They did that to the shit in here. God damn, y'all living like this, boy. Damn. I love that video. There's more videos than that. There's more actually to that video. There's actually more to that video that I've shown. And we're going to show them as we get into this. You know, yesterday I had a couple phone calls from a friend or two. And they were telling me about their landlord issues. And one of the good friends of mine, he has two issues coming up. Two issues facing him all kind of at the same time. And so I thought I'd share his stories without mentioning his name, unless he wants to come up here and join. But anyway, so he has a guy that very on this right now. He's never going to catch up. So the guy's starting to do the typical Negro song and dance. My mama's sick. I'm thinking about committing suicide. On and on and on. My children this, my children that. I don't have a job. This, that, the other. And so I just thought about, like, how do you deal with tenants like this? You know, how do you get them out? And then how do you prevent these type of issues before you're down $30,000 in rent and you're never going to get that back? So one of the things I've been looking at and trying to develop patterns over the years is what type of people to stay away from. And I would say, like, the first category, this is, you know, market specific, but it's anecdotal. I don't have statistics to back it up other than experience for what that's worth. I would stay away from the gig economy drivers. Now, why do you say that? Well, I think by and large, as it stands now and as we go forward, the gig economy workers are the people that you really don't want to hire. No one really wants to hire. They're probably kind of lazy, many of them, not all. And they just want to make a little bit of money or enough money for, like, sustenance, day to day. So they'll drive a little bit, come back home, hang out. When they have something pressing that they need or want, they will drive. They can also get in a lot of trouble because they get tickets. When they're driving, they get tickets. That's a cost, a real serious cost. And in these cities, the technology is getting better and better. They're able to enforce and track these people down and put boots on their cars, and that pretty much shuts down their income overnight. I've heard people walk out of the house, have a boot on their car, they can't go to work anymore. That person's not going to be able to pay rent in a week or two. So those are some of the first people that, particularly in Black America, I would definitely not rent to. If they work a gig job as a full-time job, they're very clear. I want to share with you an article, actually kind of into that point. Let me see if I can pull that up for you. Give me 1 second. I'm looking for that. Here it is here. And you let me know if you can see my screen here in the chat. But in this article here, let's see if I can get it centered here. So this is an article, and it may be an old article, but the point still remains. So it's 5 years old, but I think the point still remains here. 10,000 new rideshare drivers a year. New census data shows how industry has exploded in the DC area. Now, I know this is the DC area. Your area may be different, but I don't think it's going to be much different. Many of these cities, the workers have more or less given up careers and professions for gig economy jobs. They're putting 10,000 new drivers a year. Many of these people have given up their job, a full-time job. This is what they do. So let's get into the article here. The DC area added nearly 10,000 new rideshare drivers each year between 2014 and 2017. I bet you there weren't that many regular jobs, like career type jobs, added in those 3 years. This is according to the Census Bureau, making that sector into more than $1 billion industry. That's just gig economy drivers. These are people that are gaining no skills, nothing of value to add to the marketplace other than driving around, delivering food and other stuff from stores. The Census Bureau releases numbers annually about what it calls non-employer establishments, things like private real estate agents, independent contractors, and drivers who work for Lyft and Uber. So the Census Bureau is saying this is fueling an explosion in their industry group. Taxi and limousine is coded by the census. And the big problem with people who do private ride shares, limousine, things like that, they have a little bit more consistent income. They have a business. The people driving Uber, they start and stop whenever they want. They don't even have customers. The only way they get a customer is if the software sends them a message putting them in the queue to pick up someone. Other than that, they have no connections with their customers. Again, if they're suspended for whatever reason from Uber, and it happens all the time, you often hear renters who drive for Uber. They'll complain that they got suspended for whatever reason. Maybe the last driver smoked in the car. They were playing music that the driver didn't like. Whatever reason. They end up getting suspended for 4 or 5 days. How are they making money now? That's going to impact you downstream when it's time to pay rent. Let's go back to the article here. In the 5 years between 2007 and 11, when Uber first came to DC, the DC metro area added 2,200 rideshare employees. In the following 5 years, nearly 18,000 new rideshare establishments or drivers were added. I guarantee you, those are people that quit regular full-time jobs that were lured in by the early big money payouts from Uber and Lyft. And they left their jobs, they left their professions, their ability to learn or earn a skill and become productive in the marketplace. They chose to drive people's food around to make a living. Just thinking about that, just intuitive, they should have known that, that they would all be pulled, the rug would be pulled from under them. But either way, a lot of people quit their jobs to go drive for Uber. The census estimates there are 48,000 people working in the rideshare sector in the DC metro area. Yeah, 48,600. That's a lot of people. I wonder how big our the hospital industry is. The hospital industry probably doesn't have 48,000 people in the DC metro area. So the article goes on. You can see the chart here, how much is ride sharing growing in the DC metro. You see the numbers are skyrocketing. The trend is the same nationally. So I'm correct in some ways in that a lot of people are leaving their jobs. And it's not just a DC thing. People are leaving their jobs, going to work, driving. And how do you respond to that as a renter? I don't think you should rent to them. I think that they're basically unrentable. Very few of them are going to be able to sustain themselves driving for Uber. And so you end up in a position where that person is going to be short. And now what do you do? When all the laws in dealing with that person are against you, I say avoid Uber drivers altogether. And we've all heard about your traveling nurses. I think it's somewhat of a scam. But I think the reason why people prefer traveling nurses is that traveling nurses are attached to the government. They work mostly at hospitals. Hospitals pretty much get the bulk of their revenue from the government. So traveling nurses, there's a whole cottage industry turning to traveling nurses. I've never signed up for a travel nurse finder, whatever the service is. But I think up and down the healthcare spectrum, you can find fairly reliable tenants. And you'll find a lot of Black tenants that work at the hospital, front desk, janitors, security guards. Now, I want to show you an article here about security guard, well, about nurses. If I can show it to you here. Let's see. Let me see if I can pull this up here. I'm not sure if this is DC, but this is just in general. So if you look at some of these statistics here, clearly most of them are women, right? Not bad, not bad. Much rather have a woman guest or tenant than a male. The age demographic is pretty good. So in terms of tenants, but there's one statistic, a chart that I wanted to show you here. And let me see if I can find it here. They have it as a banner. But either way, as it goes, nurses and anyone in the healthcare spectrum, I think, are pretty good bets. Now, my buddy who rented to the Uber driver, I mean, clearly that was his first mistake. He recognizes that, so I'm not saying anything he doesn't know. But for the people who see the big, maybe the big checks from a potential Uber driver, I wouldn't trust it. I mean, those guys can easily just as not work as much as they can go driving. And again, anything can happen while they're driving, and you'll be unable to collect any of your money. So I do have some pictures I wanted to show you here, just about some of the things you face when you have bad tenants. So I think this would be kind of a folly here. So let's take a look. Let's see what we have here. All right. So here's an interesting picture here. This is a serious text message here. A guy sends me a text, or a woman. Someone left a poop-filled napkin in the trash can in the bathroom, along with the overpowering odor of urine. And I cut off the rest of the message. But these type of things happen in the Black communities. Someone will, I see Get Crack for me is in the channel. Feel free to hop on the panel if you like. I love to hear your back and forth. We can have a back and forth here. But yeah, so you'll see someone in the bathroom took a poop, and instead of flushing it, they put it in the trash can, along with the overpowering odor of urine. I mean, as I said yesterday, the bathrooms and the kitchens, when you're renting in the urban areas to Black people, I mean, they suffer the tragedy of the commons. I'll show you some more. Let's see what I have here. Here's something that I wanted to pull up here. I think I wanted to pull this up. Let's see if I can pull this up. Let's see. I want to pull up this article while we're talking about type of people to look for. Here's an interesting article I wanted to share. I think I may have this in my photos. It may be a little bit easier to see here. Well, I'll go through some of these messages and then we'll get back to that. So here's another one. We saw this one yesterday. I think we saw this one yesterday as well. And here may be a new one that we haven't seen. Oh yeah, this is from a guy. You can see that I'm telling him we get bad reviews based on your service. And so let me get back to that. And he says, I honestly do apologize for my selfish behavior. So he understands that his behavior is selfish. And here's where it gets good. Now, this is, well, you're going to see everything here. I'm not even going to get ahead of myself. It never occurred to me that our fighting was losing you business. Okay? It never occurred to him. I know reviews are important. I frequently depend on DoorDash, and my reviews are my lifeline. So he understands it. I'm in a review-based business just like him. But yet, what does he do? He causes problems and gets me bad reviews. And he knows the consequences. But yet he can't change his behavior. And that is kind of the thing when you're renting to these people. You're going to constantly have these types of problems here. So anyway, back to the article here. Let's see if I can make sure it's pulled up here. You can let me know if you see this article here. He keeps on this picture here. He goes on to say, make sure it's happening. Let me stop sharing. Let me start sharing again. All right, here it is. So back to the message here. We keep the arguing and fighting to a very low occurrence. So he's acknowledging that they fight, but they try to keep it to a very low occurrence. You will often find this type of, not just behavior, the fighting, but the logic to explain it away. We keep it at a very low occurrence. Okay. Listen at the next sentence. That won't disturb other tenants after 8 p.m. So he says, I guess he's saying, I promise to not fight, or we promise not to fight after 8 p.m. so as not to disturb other tenants. What if they don't want to hear fighting at all? And this is what I'm saying. Like, as a landlord in the inner city, you got to wade through this. This is trash that you have to wade through. And you can't go long term with someone who thinks like this. Because again, as you can see, he depends on DoorDash. His reviews are his lifeline. A man fighting his girlfriend, do you think he's going to get good reviews consistently? Do you think he's going to be able to get up and show up and drive? Well, he actually rode a scooter. Kudos to him. Do you think he'll be able to get up and ride that scooter every day? I don't think so. His girlfriend actually was mad at him for sitting around playing video games all day. Took the modem and threw it outside, destroyed it. Destroyed the internet service for everyone in the house. Do you really think this guy is going to be able to pay his rent depending on DoorDash? He's not going to be able to pay his rent depending on anything. But DoorDash is his last lifeline. And he's not going to be able to maintain that. You can tell that just by the mindset. As for the modem, now here he's lying. We had nothing to do with it. Maybe he's telling the truth here because it wasn't we, it was her. She had something to do with it. Once the Wi-Fi got cut offline, me and other tenants realized the power switch was unplugged, turning off the modem. This is why I say the Negroes always lie. And one of the ways you can tell they lies, the dog that doesn't cry, in this case, is the one that's causing the problem. When his girlfriend threw the modem out in the front yard, he was the only one that didn't call and say, hey man, the internet's off. I can't get on the internet. I can't play my video games. Everyone else is calling me. Hey man, help me out here. Internet's off. I got to work. I got to do this. I got to do that. But no, he didn't call. And that's how I knew it was him and his girlfriend fighting or whatever. Destroyed the Wi-Fi for everyone else. It was uncalled for. Didn't have to do it. But the logic and the way these people fight, their lack of conflict resolution, makes it very, very difficult to wade through this level of trash, the demographic trash. He goes on to say, in regards to our situation, I am here on my to ask for your sympathy in my situation. I'm financially crippled till Tuesday. I was hospitalized on 2/24 and discharged on 3/4. So this guy's in the hospital 7-10 days. He's a fairly young man. What crippled him? When I saw him, he seemed healthy. So either he's lying or maybe the girlfriend knocked him upside the head or something. But the odds of this young man being in the hospital 10 days, slim to none. So he's probably lying. I realize it's selfish to ask if this, since my behavior is losing your business. So he admits, look, man, my behavior is losing you business. He admits it. But then he goes on, I had no knowledge that I was losing you business. How in the hell did he not be able to conceptualize that you acting like a monkey fighting, destroying the router so no one else could get on the internet? He couldn't understand that destroyed my business. It loses me business. And here's the coup de grace of all. Doesn't forgive us acting like wild animals. Those are his words, not mine. I didn't call him a wild animal. I didn't call him any name. You can see from my last text here, I said we get bad reviews based on your behavior. And he acknowledged that they were acting like wild animals. This is the type of filth that you really have to deal with, that you're going to have to sift through. And we've read this message. I think we read this one yesterday. You know, I could give you the context here, and we will one day. We'll do a review of all these messages to show you like the problems and like how you have to critically go through these people. But here's another one. Let me see if I can find it here. I'm going to find it. I really want to show you guys this one. Let's see. Is this here right here? This may be it. No, we've already seen that one. I think I have it right here. Let's see. I might have it right. This may be good. Oh, yeah. So I want to get back to the security guards and things like that. So I want to show you this. So I mentioned that you want to look for tenants with government attached, even government employees directly. And so here's a little graph that I found in my research of how to find the best tenants. And I have a security guard tenant. So I'm speaking from somewhat experience here. And I'm sorry, I was looking at the comment here. I want you to look at this statistic. The annual mean wage of security guards by state. This is May 23, so it's a year old. And look where I am here in DC. Let's see if I can make this any bigger. I don't know if I can. But you see, if you can't see it, I'll read it for you. District of Columbia, top paying states for security guards. $26 an hour. Mean wage, $54,000 annual mean wage. That's a pretty damn good job for a young man. I have a security guard as a tenant. He's at work every day, all day. There's no shortage of hours for security guards. A lot of it is government attached or associated. In some sense, they're doing a police function. In some sense, they're securing government buildings. So it's stable, fairly high wage pay. And look at the number of jobs per thousand. 20.76, 14,000. You add in the state of Maryland, which is right next door, 27,000. That's a lot of high paying, low IQ jobs. You don't have to have an extremely high IQ to do a security job. Let's look here. Location quotient of security guards. States with the highest concentration of jobs and location quotients in security guards. You'll see DC. It's the highest location quotient. Hourly mean wages. This is May 2023. You're not going to get better than that in terms of a demographic of people you can rent to. They're going to have steady hourly wages with plenty of opportunity for overtime. Again, and they can always go work a second job as well. Let's look at this statistic that I found very interesting here. Again, this is about DC, but many cities kind of fit the mold here. DCPS teachers. Now, teachers, again, they're government attached, they're government employees. So they tend to have high wages. They tend to be off in summers, which means that they can work as well as get paid. And they work pretty good hours where they could either work a part-time job, tutor some students, get a grant to do some kind of whatever. There's a lot of funding and money in education. And if you have a halfway resourceful person, they shouldn't have a problem paying their rent if they're attached to the school system. Even if you're a janitor at the school system, they're sweeping, buffing floors after hours, running basketball camps for the inner city kids with no fathers. There are plenty of opportunities for them to make a living. On top of that, if they're working in the school system, they're getting cheap lunch, probably food to take home from school. These people are typically a good sample of tenants that shouldn't have a problem paying their rent. Again, plus they're able to supplement their work with part-time jobs. So look at the statistics here. In DC, half the teachers are Black. Even more than half at the charter schools are Black. That's about 4,000 teachers. Add in the janitors, assistants to the assistants, special ed coordinators, all types of satellite periphery jobs. And it makes up a very good base to find tenants in the inner city. Typically, you can't go wrong with teachers because their behavior is typically curbed by their employment. Bad behavior as a teacher can get them fired from their daytime job. So typically, you won't have problems, at least with the paying from the tenants. Let me see if I have some other stuff here. Let's see. We went over the poop field napkin. Let's see, what else do we have here that I wanted to cover? That may be it for today. Let me see if we have anyone in the chat. I don't think we have anyone in the chat today, but anyway, I think it's been a pretty good call. I think a lot of good useful information for urban landlords that are looking to make a go of it in the city or already doing business in the city. I think it's very, very critical that you analyze the income source. Obviously, that's more important than analyzing their credit. Hell, most of them are going to have bad credit. So you have to make sure that their income sources are at least reliable. I think staying away from Uber and showing preference to the government attached tenants will do you well going forward. Thank you again. Have a good day.